Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Education work session of Thursday, February 13th. We have a lot for everyone today. We have about a 30-minute demonstration that I'll introduce in a moment. Julie is here for the budget. We'll have an agenda review. And then board members, we have a very brief two-item executive session related to personnel. I'll read with more detail on that executive session when the time comes, but it's two items and we won't take any action after that. I want to say welcome back, Mrs. Dunn. We missed you and we prayed for you and your family, and we're glad you're back. And your brother was a wonderful person from all I had. My regret is I never got to meet him, but I heard he was a great person. So, welcome back. We're glad you're here. Well, I know the people in the district do care about you that much, and we're glad to have you back. I like you sitting there. You always give me calmness and confidence, so thank you. Members of the board and the viewing public, we're going to do a presentation for you right now on a new product that we've been studying for quite a while. The life cycle of our computers for our pre-K through second graders really expired in December. And we have had our technology committee under Mr. Graneri's leadership has been studying the purchase for the first time of Apple products. And I want to recognize and commend 79th Street School at this time. And I know we have two of their teachers here, and we have one of their great students that I'm going to introduce in a little bit, Malachi, so get ready. We're going to, and your sister, we're going to introduce you in a bit, but we're glad you're here, Malachi and sister. We are proposing to you on your February 27th your approval of 609, and that is the approval of about 1,700 Apple products that are in front of you and that will be demonstrated for you for our pre-K to 2 students. 79th Street was the school that was selected to pilot them. So before we jump into this large purchase that will take us for the next 5 years, a huge shout out to 79th Street teachers for willingly stepping forward and piloting these Apple products. We want you to get a feel for them, and as we did when we brought the Clear Touch boards a couple of years to you, we brought hands-on so you could actually move the Clear Touch board. Our teachers will demonstrate some of the functionality of the Clear Touch board, and we want to model that same kind of feel for the next half hour because I thought it went really well, and our rollout of the Clear Touch boards went exceedingly well. So I just want to ask for your attention for the next 30 minutes and for you to participate in the exercises or not, but I want you to see what you're hopefully authorizing the purchase of. This is about $1 million purchase. It is all BOCES aidable. We will spread this purchase out over 3 years. We will be able to keep these new devices for 5 years. Of course, we lease all of our technology equipment, which is a smart thing to do because technology changes so quickly. So I'll stop talking, and I just wanted to make a comment of thanks, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Graneri, who led the initiative. But I want to thank our 2 technology integrators, Ed Maynard and Dave St. Ange. When you think that we have 1,507 employees, 704 in the teaching staff, and the amount of technology that we have, and the speed at which technology moves, we have, I would say, the minimum of technology integrators in Ed and Dave. But Ed covering all of elementary and Dave covering all of secondary, they do a great job for the teachers. Now, we can't stay too long on this topic because, as I've told them, Ed is in a suit for the first time and it's got to get back to Tuxedo Junction by 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is the expiration date for that suit. And of course, Phil Miano is here. Phil, raise your hand. Phil is a BOCES tech integrator that works on the team. Phil only participates 82% of the time because that's all of the BOCES reimbursement we get. So thank you for your 82% reimbursement. And most importantly, they brought Kim Maynard back because she was the one that led the presentation the last time, and actually how to use it. She's a science teacher at Niagara Falls High School and really keeps the Maynard family together, in my opinion. So Ray, take it away.
Yes, thank you for all of that. I just wanted to add one quick thing. Is we started our pilot just about a year ago, and from the outside looking in, it was just wonderful to see all the collaborative work, earned successes, partnerships to get to the point we are now, which I'd like to invite Ed up to start his presentation. Ed and helpers.
And my lovely assistant, Sandra. All right, thank you very much for having us in tonight, and hopefully, take you guys through some techniques and some things that are going to make this a little bit different than looking at regular PC. First of all, on your monitors, your regular monitors that you use every week, you're going to see my PowerPoint, and then on the iPads, we're going to kind of dip back and forth between the two. All right. So, but all the pictures that you are going to see on your monitors, including from my PowerPoint here, these are all pictures of our own kids from 79th Street School. I think that's you right there. That's the wrong one. One of the first nights we used the iPads last year in the pilot mode, we did a birthday kind of a project, and the kids took the iPads outside. So any pictures that you see here, for the most part, are right from our own district. All right. Including these two young ladies right here. So the iPads that you see actually in the picture are the same ones that are right in front of you right now. All right, so we're going to get into iPads versus laptops. Which one is the better way? We've been such a PC district for so long that going the opposite way here with an Apple product is a very, very big shift for us. It's a huge shift for us. So why now all of a sudden are we doing that? I actually have been a PC guy, an Android guy my entire life. I was kind of opposed to Apple products, as Phil I'm sure will tell you over the years, because I really believe that in the working world, this is PC is the working world. That's what our kids are going to be using in the future. However, when you start looking and start analyzing the products and the tools that our younger kids can use, putting a kindergartner or a pre-K kid in front of a PC with a mouse, all right, expecting them to, if you want to cut and paste, right-click on the mouse, highlight an object, right-click, hit cut, go over to a different object, right-click, hit paste, and just that act right there for a kindergarten kid, that's going to take 15 minutes. All right, just logging a kid into a PC takes 15, 20 minutes. All right, the kids that can barely even spell their names right. All right, so we wanted something that's going to be easier for the kids to access. We wanted something that's going to go quicker and to keep the classroom moving smoothly. And we really felt as though iPads are kind of the way to go. So it's more of an intuitive touch interface that basically means that if you want to pick up an object, you literally just put your finger on it and you move it, versus the mouse and clicking and all that kind of fun stuff that it really is. So it's better suited for developing more skills for our young kids. Now, from a teacher aspect, one of the big things that we have is something called Apple Classroom. And I'm going to demonstrate Apple Classroom here for you in a moment. But Apple Classroom is a real-time student monitoring system. Historically, if we were going to do something like this on a PC, it would cost us probably anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 to get another third-party resource to do exactly what I'm going to show you here on the iPad for basically nothing. All right. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate that real quickly here for you. So we're going to try a simple Apple Classroom presentation here, a little demo. So the first thing, if you look on your iPads right now, you should all see your rainbow screen for the most part. I'm actually going to send everybody to the rainbow screen. I call it rainbow screen. That's your home screen. All right. So from my end, as you can see on your PowerPoint in front of you, on my end, this is what I'm looking at. You guys are all the students right now. What I'm going to first of all do, if you wanted to make 23 kids cry on a click of a button, there's a little lock button that's sitting right up here at the top of my screen. If I hit that lock button right there, it completely locks down all the iPads. All right, now that is a huge, huge control factor for our teachers. When you are trying to give direction, you're trying to steer the class in a certain direction, and I got 25 kids in front of me, and all want to go in 20 different directions. All right? So Apple Classroom gives me the ability to pause all the iPads, get everybody to get their attention up here to the teacher, give out the instructions, and go, okay guys, let's head back to our rainbow screens right now, and now we can go to work. All right? Now, again, for a pre-K kid, again, it's like herding cats. All right, so it's each of your iPads have a certain name on it. There's a little post-it note by you. Most of you are superheroes. We have Captain America, Aquaman, Batman, and so on and so forth. There's one of you that has Scooby-Doo.
That would be me.
That would be Mark Corey, is Scooby-Doo, not our
Not sure why, but
fearless leader.
that's me.
Okay. So again, if I want to get the kids to go to, say, our website, Niagara Falls City School District, I can click one click of the button, and obviously my iPad is right where I like.
There we go.
And
There we go. Required viewing for all pre-K students.
Joe Materazzi.
But let's say Scooby-Doo, for example, is starting to travel off into his own world. And Scooby-Doo wants to go and look around at different websites. I can come like this and pull up Scooby-Doo specifically. So now my screen, my PowerPoint is exactly Scooby-Doo's iPad. All right. So now I'm able to see. I can say, all right, hey Scooby, you're not in the right place. You got to get to where you belong. And if Scooby keeps, going down the wrong path, I can always do something like this, where I can take him and I can lock his iPad only. Meanwhile, the rest of the kids are doing their thing and they're on the right path, and Scooby will be able to talk to them. Okay. So it gives me a lot more control as a teacher. And again, if we were doing this on a PC, we'd have to pay GoGuardian another $15,000 just to kind of get something similar to this, not even this amount of power. So it's a huge, huge benefit to us. I'm going to send this all back to the rainbow screen. I'm going to move on with my little presentation here. So I am going to lock down the iPads here because, you just have to do it. All right, so it's a simple demonstration of Apple Classroom. Another nice thing that iPads have as far as a really nice feature are their accessibility features. All right, as a father of an autistic child, believe me, I get it when a kid needs extra supports. An iPad is definitely the way to go. All right, there are a lot of supports on the PC. I'm not going to deny that. I've taught PDs on those and so on and so forth, and there's plenty out there. But when it comes to ease of access and being able to help a kid, something as simple as zooming in on the screen is one click of a button versus going into settings, right clicking on this, trying to follow them on a certain path to get there. It's going to be very, very tricky. So in this particular thing on your monitors right now, I'm going to show you a quick video. I have some videos that I do want to show. This is just a quick video of a girl that's able to control her iPad because she's a paraplegic. She has no control over her hands or her legs or anything else, but she's able to control her iPad just with her eyes alone. So if you might just kind of work with your So again, this is the demonstration of everything you're seeing in that video. She's completely controlling with her eyes. She's able to change pages, she's able to open tabs. Now, if these were PCs, if this was a PC, we'd have to get a separate device that we'd have to affix to the TV or to the monitor of the computer. Plug that in, now you're paying thousands of dollars for that, and so on. Now, the camera's built already in the iPad will enable us to do that if you have a kid that needs that. So that's a huge, huge plus for accessibility. So voiceovers, closed captions, assistive text, anything along those lines, we have that built right in here. It's a lot easier to interface. Please, if you have any questions, we drank Coke a little while ago, so we're building caffeine up right now.
Oh boy, second language students, anything for language interpretation?
Absolutely. Our second language students, there's Apple Translate that's built inside of these that really enables the kids to have voiceover and have closed captions right on their screen in their native language. So as I'm speaking in English, it can come on their screen in a different foreign language, or into their native language.
You can pick up your voice,
Yep.
or you have to populate what the resident is.
No, they can pick up, their iPad will pick up my voice and will translate it. And then if there's ever anything on paper that needs to be translated, you can take the iPad, put it right over top of the paper, and then bang, it's automatically translated for you.
That's amazing.
So definitely some advantages for accessibility. All right, so what I thought we'd do on your iPads right now, you have a little thumbnail, a little button that kind of looks like this guy on your screen. It's in the lower right corner. All right, so there's this little, it looks like a little joystick, kind of a black circle that's in the lower right corner of your screen. If you double tap on that, oh, hey, we're locked out. Hey, see that? Let me unlock it. There we go. All right, back to your iPads. In the lower right corner, you're going to find a little black circle, a little dot. If you double tap on that dot, feature on an iPad. Again, if we're on the PC, that becomes very, very difficult to see. So when you hold your finger down on it, you can tap, tap, and you hold your finger down on it, that becomes a mouse, and you can move that where you want. So if you double tap again, it turns it off.
Ed, could I ask a question about hearing impaired? How does this handle, we have students who have auditory hearing impaired, capable of helping those who are hearing impaired?
Absolutely.
Take mine, Dave.
Well, like I said, for hearing impaired, there's voiceover.
Okay.
There's closed caption feature we already kind of discussed. There is Bluetooth, so that, yeah, the Bluetooth earphones that can get plugged into a kid's ear.
Okay.
That they amplify that, so it's kind of like a hearing aid.
Thank you.
All right, so that's a simple zoom feature, just a tap, tap, and you're able to zoom in. All right, so back to my little.
You're Scooby now. You're good, Kim.
The other nice thing with an iPad over a laptop is its portability. You can pick up an iPad, no problem. You can walk around with it. All right, you can walk outside with them. We've already seen videos, so here's another video coming up right now. This is backyard. It's very nice and simple during their birthday.
Never.
Certain things in that video to make it more friendly. So some kids were drawing in trees, some kids were drawing in more recycling bins, more garbage cans, more bushes, those kinds of things. All right, so it turns into a nice little outdoor project with the iPad. On your screen now, it's just as okay, I'm not trying to back off myself or anything like that. All right, but we have a couple videos right here. All right, so because of the portability of an iPad, I can take the camera. I can have the camera wired directly in. Not even wired, sorry. I can have the camera, Wi-Fi in,
Whoa.
Bluetooth directly in. So that video on the right, the iPad, that's already right. And that camera was clear on the other side of the pool as I had an iPad on my side of the pool. Alright, if you look at our softball games, the slugger. The slugger just has to be my number. But in softball games, I have multiple cameras. I have three what are called Mevo cameras set up at different angles during the softball game. So that way the kids that are using the videos for recruiting purposes, they're able to see, different angles. Coaches that can watch the video can then see different angles. And everything is run right here from my own iPad. Okay? So I don't need a whole.
I love it. I love it.
So it adds a lot of.
I love it.
Now, not to harp on the whole diving and support school, I know we're here for early learners, but we were the first school in the country 2 weeks ago. First school in the country, and I'll say that. First school in the country to actually use iPads during a diving championship meet. So the judges you see right in the middle, each of them are about 115 years old. Jack Worthing is one of them. He's one of our former teachers right there up front. All right. And each of them came up to me at the end of that meeting, and every single one of them said, these were so easy to use, and they were begging me to bring them to the next meet, and the next meet, and the next meet. And we were the first ones in the country, the company told me themselves, we were the first one in the country to try this out. It's not even on their product line yet.
Is that Jack Worthing?
That's Jack Worthing right there in front.
Science teacher, LaSalle.
Former science.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So we were able to use these iPads to talk to our computer, which then talked to our scoreboard, and ran our meets. So when we talk about portability, how we can get them around, and also ease of use, if these referees can do it, then believe me, anyone, pre-K, K1, 2 will have no problem. All right. There's an app for that, right? That's the famous, line from any kind of Apple commercials, Apple TV products, anything that's out there. And right away, when we talk about iPads, everybody wants to talk about the apps that are out. What apps are we going to get? And even we fell into that trap too. Let's put a certain amount of budget toward how many apps we're going to get. And in talking with Apple and in talking with other districts, it's really not about the apps. It's really about what we can do with the current native apps, the apps that are already on there, the same apps that are on your phone if you have an iPhone. All right? How can we use native apps to make our kids do basically native apps here. All right. One of the biggest native apps that we're going to use is something called Clips. And Clips is, again, it's a native app. If you have an iPhone, it's right on your phone. Okay, you can use this illegally. But it's an app that has built-in camera use, microphones, high-quality speakers, and other integrated tools to create more of a rich product at the end. All right, and I'm going to bring up our star here in a second, but I want to show his work before we introduce the star here.
Pleasure.
I did a quick video of one of our students, all right, from Miss LaRock's class. They had a little bit of time for Buffalo Bill season here, and I just randomly went into her classroom a couple days ago, randomly picked up her iPad and just bang, found this one. I'm like, I gotta use this. So this is Malachi Stonebeck. Raise your hand, Malachi. Raise your hand. There he is.
There he is.
All right. This is Malachi's. Malachi, what grade are you in right now? Second grade. So this is a second grader. All right, producing something like this. A short little 1-minute project thing that he was just doing with some free time this stuff.
The Bills Make Me Shout by Malachi Stonebeck. First, I must show you Malachi Stonebeck, which is who created this show. Also, his voice is being played now.
Who doesn't like capital letters?
There's the Rock has a Bills gnome, a Bills magnet. These are some more Bills magnets that
And I
Rock
walk in, there was the merch
has.
section.
Even a Bills flag.
Because I saw, what's it?
How do you spell Roblox? Don't forget Rock's Bills pillow.
You only have 5 minutes.
And you probably got the idea by the time I shown you all Rock's Bills thing.
Probably got the idea. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay. So again, a student was just having some fun with it, just being as creative as you can with it, and having some fun. So it's what it's all about. And this would be like a picture of one of the kids, that birthday project that we were talking about, of how they can go out, take pictures, take videos, and then add their own flavor. They were drawing in pictures of the trees to make their playground a little bit more friendly. And again, this was all something that was done on our iPads within there, probably less than an hour. Okay. So it also enhances our collaboration between our students that are in the group as well. Okay. All right, we're going to go back into our demonstration mode here next. All right, and then we'll bring up Malachi here in a little bit. We're going to try another little simple activity. All right, and this is called the ABCs of iPads. So I'm not trying to insult anybody or anything like that, but we are going to do a little small activity together. You're more than welcome to try it. I encourage you to. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to what's called airdropping a little assignment for you there.
You're airdropping an assignment to us.
Airdropping you all an assignment right now. All right. So what's going to happen is on your iPads. Of course. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to airdrop you all an assignment right now. On your iPads, right at the very top, you're going to see either accept or decline. If you would please accept the assignment. It's coming out. Go ahead and accept.
Use your finger or the pencil.
Okay.
All right, so that's how we can quickly share an assignment with kids. We can airdrop it to each of you. All right? Now, if you also need more assistance, Malachi's out there. I'm sure you can come out. All right, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to use the microphone. All right, so you see the giant big blue arrow that's pointing up at that little icon at the top of your screen. So if you click on that icon at the top of your screen. There.
What am I hitting, Tony?
Hit that little button right there, and then find the microphone. The microphone says record audio. So when you hit record audio, go ahead and hit record, and all I want you to do is just say your name to the
Scooby needs help. Scooby needs help there. Come on.
So he didn't do it first. You got to hit edit first, then open that, and then record audio.
Now?
Good, good, good. So you just hit that little button right there and say, Mark Laurie is the best superintendent in Niagara Falls.
Mark Laurie is doing a wonderful job as superintendent, and he is really quite impressed with himself. How do I stop it, Dave?
If you like it at the very top, there's an insert button, top right.
This is the voice recording right here. So that's everything that I recorded enough.
Huh, guess it didn't believe me.
I believe you. Let's try it again. You gotta turn the volume up on yours.
Yeah.
So let's try that.
That's all right. That's good. You're good, Dave. You're good. That's
All right, so once you put that in, you're gonna go ahead and insert.
I just said it, sir.
At the top right. So the top right of the orange line is going to be insert.
And now you'll notice at the top, there'll be a little speaker right there.
Now you got, that's you.
You just hold your finger down on it.
cool. Good.
All right? Yep, speaker icon will show up, and that's it.
I don't think he could hear you. Mrs. Dunn is drawing stick figures.
All right, if you can scroll up then and go to the next page, there's the letter A right on the next page, so this is the ABC's, the letter A. If you want to pick up your pen, crayon, we call it a crayon actually. It's not an Apple pen. Apple pens are round and Apple pens will roll. And when Apple pens roll,
Oh, that's a good point.
they get stuck in there.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Just trace the A's. It's just for kids.
That one's me. Yeah, I like them. I like the.
I think you make a good point about kids dropping their pens. Kids are going to drop their pens and they're going to roll all over the place. This won't roll.
Now you can go ahead and pick up your pen and just trace over the letter A.
This is good.
Trace the letter A.
That's good.
So go up to your media again.
Cool.
Geez, we're starting to morph into the science of reading, aren't we, Rick? We're starting to get into the science of reading.
It's what it is. It's a lot of it. We said it's science reading.
Yeah. Right, with the finger writing and the sky writing. Science of reading stuff. Sky writing, finger writing. Technology meshes.
I have to buy a pencil again. This is bad. I'm using erasers.
Now it's an eraser. So now you go erase.
That's cool.
So different colors, different size markers.
That's
different
cool.
Crayons, different whatever. It's even got a shape recognition. So if you write their name, you don't type
That's
their
really cool.
It has the magic one, too.
That's cool.
This really should be on camera, each of us doing this.
Yeah.
Because this should be like a prerequisite. Before we are up for reelection, we have to complete this entire program.
Oh, no.
If you can't trace Brad McLeod, you're out, buddy. We're gone.
Switching between them. It's
Mrs. Dunn has 22 stick figure people.
You just happen to be in front of me. Yes.
All right, good.
All right, so if you scroll up a little bit more, you'll find the letter B. This is the B page. We're just going to imagine that you were all drafted by the Buffalo Bills. You're the newest Buffalo Bills, so use your crayon again. You can sign your first autograph in that box.
Beautiful.
So now scroll up and do your first.
Where's your scroll up? There you go. Scroll up
Sign
like
your
that.
first autograph.
If you want to go back up to your microphone, you can go back up to your microphone and introduce yourself as the newest Buffalo Bill.
Oh, wow.
So you can see how one skill will develop into two skills and everything kind of builds on each other until you get to all those skills on a native app that will then be able to create a final product that's good.
That's cool. That's neat.
The last one we'll have fun with here.
Here you go, Rob. Now you get to draw a picture. This is the final test for you.
Final test.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna go back up to the top again, hit that media button, and find the camera. And now you need to take a picture of anything in the room that starts with the letter C.
It's-
7 words. There's a Corella right behind us.
Corella.
likes it, he likes pictures.
Done. You gotta hit the done.
Consemi.
Yeah, and it gets you that menu. So now he's gonna have you go here, click that again.
Faster on this.
Yes.
Insert from your camera.
Click that media button up top. Here.
I drew a picture of Capitol Cleaners. 2 C words. He didn't hear me.
So now you can just take a picture.
So I'm gonna go to the camera. Yeah, go to the camera, then you're just gonna take a picture.
So hit the whatever you want to take a
And
picture.
then hit use photo. Take the picture and then hit use photo. There you go. You can take a picture of the semi or yourself. I don't want to break you.
And then hit use photo.
KOOL. Cool. Russ, I drew Capitol Cleaners on mine. He said do a C word.
So if you want to retake it, watch, we can do that, and now you can take another picture.
You need to take a picture.
And move it.
Oh, so you just hit that back arrow thing up there.
It's pretty.
You hit this one right here, the media button. Nope, one right here.
It's pretty cool.
Take a picture. So, yeah.
That's good.
I'm gonna take a picture of Corella. Take a picture of Corella, and then I'm gonna do something. Mr. Corella, please smile. Where's the?
All right, so then again, the nice thing about that.
I promise I won't let him use
Take
that
up your
for.
pen and feel free to draw away.
Now you're gonna now use photo. There you go. Just drag it into place, shrink it up, and put it right in place.
Notice Earl's leaving. He knew I would have taken a picture of him. Earl's out.
There you go.
Good. Nice. Really good. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Sorry, I'm going to bring everybody back to the page here. I know we're having a lot of fun. You can leave the iPads with you. You can do that later. We got to get back to business now. Okay, sorry. I know.
No fun.
All right. So you can see, like when I said take a picture of anything that starts with the letter C, that's what's called taking a picture for a purpose. If you tell the kids to pick up the iPad and take pictures, no problem. They'll pick up the iPad, they'll go all in class, they'll take 17,000 pictures. But if you give them a task of taking a picture for a purpose, that's a very different thing. Like in this picture right here, you see it on your slideshow there, all right? We said, take a picture of anything in the room that's a square or a rectangle. And then they had to take their pen and then they had to outline the squares and rectangles in the room. Okay, so again, taking a picture with a purpose and purpose. So overall, again, iPads, they offer the largest range of educational apps designed for early learners. All right, Microsoft does not do that. If you ever go to the Microsoft store, you can get through the whole store in about 5 minutes. All right, the App Store on the iPhone side, on the iOS side, you're going to be there for a long, long time. Okay, there's a lot of good interactive apps. These 2 apps that are in front of you right now are WWF, that's conference. All right, World Wildlife Foundation. This is an AR app. The AR app means augmented reality. And what that basically means, we'll try this one. This one's fun. All right, I'm going to send you guys all to that app right now. All right. So now you are anywhere on that screen. I'm going to go to Captain America, wherever you want Captain America.
Captain America.
All right, you'll see a bunch of circles. If you click on any of those circles with your finger, it's going to launch you to a certain part of the woods. Now, what it's going to ask you to do next is it's going to ask you to pick up your iPad and point it at any flat area in the room. And then you're going to see something kind of amazing happen. Point at anywhere that has open space.
Got open space. The floor here.
Floor, whatever else.
That's not over here where it's open.
What that's going to do,
Press up over.
I hit start journey.
Start journey. Yep.
We'll plant an entire forest
Oh wow.
right inside of the border.
You see it up by here. actual animals in the room with you,
Wow.
and it's just amazing to see some of these things. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, so look at the, you can look at the next one up here. He's doing it so you can kind of see what it looks like up on your screen there.
So you can see on my screen here, if you
How are you?
get it to go now, the flat space of the room, I can bring the forest to the kids. And a lot of our kids are not outside Niagara Falls. All right, so if I can bring the forest to the kids, then great. We have the experience that we're looking for.
This is-
I could then take a picture of our two prestigious board members. I don't want to know what they're about to do underneath the tree. I don't know. An interesting position there. But we can talk about the Quaker aspen tree, how they can use the bark of the Quaker aspen to create aspirin. How the Native Americans are doing back in the day.
So you can just touch it anywhere.
We're gonna lease these for you. I'll give it to you, take it. I don't know. You like it, Mrs. Dunn?
The last step I'm just going to demonstrate for you. Well, a lot of
What happened?
sorry. Okay. So as I said earlier, okay, turn this down. That's annoying. I have a child who's autistic. I can see how bad now it's quite not. And sorry. And Puppet Pals was one of the first apps that we used on this iPad when he was very, very young, before he was actually verbal. Calm down, this one. All right, I'm trying. Anyways, so Puppet Pals is a great app to use for social stories. All right, when you got a kid who does not, uses words very well, can't use his sentences, can't come up with words, and you put them on an iPad, you give them an experience that's very, very different. All right. So what we do here with this one here is we pick a setting. I'm just going to demonstrate this one for you guys. And then what happens is it creates a setting for you, and then you get certain characters that you can drop into the setting. All right, and then you can move the character around, and you can see how his mouth is kind of wording what I'm kind of saying as well. All right, and so as he's walking through the town, I can hit a record button on my screen, and I can record kind of a movie of what's happening. So my son, who was very, very nonverbal before he came to this district, he used this app quite a bit, and this was the app that really got him talking. And so the little Puppet Pals that I put on all the iPads, it's kind of a tribute to him. Sorry. Get it together.
Ed, is he the one that I saw you shopping with that one day?
What's that?
Is your son's sister?
Yes.
Well, he knew everything in Wegmans when you were walking into
Yeah,
Walls.
that's why I brought him. I know.
You had no idea how to get anything in Wegmans, and your son was showing you where to go.
Yeah.
I think he did a great job with them.
He does. He comes in on 3 days a week with me here in the district when we do our virtual reality tours of the buildings. And he goes around to all the kids and he helps the kids with their VR goggles and he troubleshoots for them. So that way it keeps the lesson up and going. So he's come a long, long way. And I don't want to give all the credit to Puppet Pals because there's a lot of other great, phenomenal people along this way. But this was, again, one of the first apps that really got him verbal.
Yeah.
Right.
How old is he?
He's 25 now.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I mean, he's come a long, long way. He was a kid that when he first went to GJ Man, the first ever assembly, he was crying in the front, holding his ears. And by the time he got to 6th grade, he led the Pledge of Allegiance for the building. So,
And now if you see him in Wegmans, ask him where anything is. Because I couldn't find a damn thing.
Well, they moved the store around.
Yeah, I know. So I asked his son, where is this? Where is that? And Ed was walking into corners. I don't know what the problem was that day. I don't know what was going on that day.
people find anything you want. Wegmans, I don't know.
You couldn't find anything.
No. Anyway, so in conclusion, I don't know, Dave, if you want to throw it out if you're going to talk about next steps.
Yeah, I'll talk about next steps. And then,
I want to give you guys.
yeah, and then, well, let's meet Malachi. Miss LaRock, will you come up with Malachi? So this is Katie LaRock. She's a 2nd grade teacher at 79th Street, one of our top piloting teachers. Katie, thank you. You were her first student? All right. Okay. Over class size. Miss LaRock.
Let's see, LaRock.
Oh, that's okay. Fair then. Fair. I was going to ask you what kind of student Earl Bass was. How was he? Well behaved?
Very well.
All right. So,
Good dresser.
Still is.
as a teacher, I mean, you're going to be, first of all, we're going to provide enough staff development for our teachers to be able to do this. But I would like your reflections as a teacher.
The kids absolutely love it. They love those iPads. I mean, most of the kids are discovering things that I don't even know about. They're speaking Spanish to me. They're doing, what's that? Duolingo. Duolingo. I mean, they're speaking Spanish, they're speaking Mandarin. It's amazing.
Yeah, kids say, doing my homework in Chinese. Wow. What? Where does that come from?
Wow.
Blows their mind how much they love it.
And who is the gentleman that you have with you? Hi, Malachi.
You want to tell them what you love about the iPads?
I love that there's so much system apps on the iPads that you can never get bored of just the system apps themselves.
So I have to ask you a question, Malachi. We're thinking about buying these for all the pre-K, for kindergarten, I love how you come over here, just like me. Pre-K, first grade, and second grade, and kindergarten students in the district. What do you think I should recommend to the board? Do you think they should do that?
I think they should.
Okay. And how do you like school?
I'm loving it.
Are you? And you have a good teacher, though.
Yeah, of course.
And what's your sister's name?
Arizona
Arizona? And what grade is she in?
first.
Do you think she could use these things?
Yeah.
Okay. Malachi, are you shy? Okay, good. I didn't think so. Is your mom with you?
Yeah, over there.
Okay. Well, Mom, thank you very much for trusting us with your daughter and your son. We hope you're satisfied, and we are appreciative of your trust, so thank you. Malachi, you did a good job. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the board? We're going to do the budget next. Would you like to do the budget? That's okay. I'll do it. We got Julie here. Julie's really good at it. Okay, she'll do it. Continue to be a really good boy. Tell your sister we appreciate you, and have fun in school, okay?
Okay.
You don't want any more snow days, do you? Good. Nice. Thank you, Mom, thank you for coming. Thank you, Mom, for letting us use Malachi to demonstrate. Good job. Thank you. All right, great job. So I'll open it up for questions. I just want to let you know next. That's your nickname. What was
I just needed
it?
to know who was who was Spider-Man, who was Superman.
Okay. They can mess with it, huh? Yeah. I'm going to do it again. So, Thor, I just want to give a summary in a second.
Yeah, because, Michael's still.
Mike, get the pen from Mr. Capizzi, please. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. So I just wanted to kind of bring this back around, if I may. First of all, I don't know why Mr. Petrozzi's computer was nicknamed Thor. It's a little scary to me that he was called Thor.
Mine was wonderful.
Okay, I'll leave that alone. Board members, here's what we are planning. Last evening at the Erie One BOCES board meeting, they approved a resolution for us to purchase these through Erie One BOCES. On February 27th, Resolution 6.09 on your packet that we'll go through in a few minutes will ask you to approve the purchase of 1,700 of these for our pre-K to 2 students. We will lease these over 3 years, an IPA over 3 years. We will keep these for 5 years. We have hit the current life cycle end of the PCs that are in the classrooms for kids. We piloted this, as you can see, with the 79th Street team. Once, and if you approve this, The next day, Ray will put in the order for them. It takes about 6 weeks to produce the number that we need in the district, and that would probably coincide with about Easter recess. Ray and the team that are with you, plus Ray's other team, will do all the configuration and preparation and get them ready. Ray will work with Rick and the tech integrators on a teacher training plan so that teachers have full staff development in these. And then we will probably bring them in the classroom for teachers to start to dabble in by the end of the year, with a full implementation in September. We're recommending something to you that we've studied for almost a year, and you can see we've tried it out for almost a year. I thought Ed did just an absolutely incredible job taking you through that. It was really good, Ed. But I also what I really appreciated is the functionality, and you probably only scratched the surface. From the dual language to the auditory processing for those that are hearing impaired, to our exceptional children that he described, his beautiful son, and the functionality it has, to taking it right down, because we talk about the science of reading all along, and I just couldn't help thinking about when you were skywriting the letters on the laptop, how that's part of the science of reading, and when you took and built the forest for a pre-K or kindergarten kid, that's part of the science of reading. That's called schema or background knowledge that our kids don't get. So the device is a tool in the arsenal of learning for our children. It's not the only tool, but it's another way to reach young children in terms of enhancing their reading skills and math and everything else. So I'm going to recommend this to you, but I want to know if the board members have any questions, because while we have our team here. Anything?
Yeah, Mark, I have a couple if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Ed, can they download apps?
No, everything is controlled through a process, through a program called Jamf. So yeah, I can't even download the apps. I have to call somebody else that can download all the apps.
And is it forbidding to go to somewhere they shouldn't go? Website they shouldn't go to?
That will fall under the same kind of content filtering system that we currently have for the laptops.
So
they
it's
can't get to
where
YouTube,
we don't want them.
Yeah, they can't get to it on the iPad. It's the same system.
Thank you.
Rob?
That was great. Really good job, Ed. I mean, I want to go out and buy an iPad now. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's unbelievable. What was the reasoning behind K through second grade and not extending it past second? Is my first question. I'm assuming there was some research there, I would think. And then my second question is, within that, is it, hey, listen, this is going to help accomplish everything that you walked us through, and it's an easier transition for a third grader, fourth grader to experience a PC and kind of get prepared for the real world it's just that age group, it's easier for them to be able to pick up a PC as opposed to an iPad and interact and touch.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely 100% it. I mean, the pre-K to 2 idea was, we like to start small in the district instead of just, whole scale, the whole district K to 12, we'll start with a smaller group. The group that needed it the most would be pre-K to 2, not because of teachers or anything like that, but just, what clientele could really use more of an ease of access tool. And an iPad is definitely way more. So it will blend itself very easily into grades 3 on up because of the keyboard that it comes with and the programs. Because everything you could do on the iPad, everything I could do on the PC, I could do on an iPad. But everything I do on an iPad, I cannot do on a PC. So it's really the best of both worlds product.
So my third question then was slightly answered. So we do have hopes to extend this program out past second grade, or for the reasons we talked about, we might kind of stop at that age group and then...
the sky's the limit. I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but sky's the limit for sure. There are a lot of districts. North Tonawanda, for example, is pre-K to 12. A lot of the private schools are, all the way through 12. So Jamestown is a pre-K to 12. We visited that school district. It's demographically, it's very, very similar to us. And yeah, they're using it all the way to 12. So Right now, like, we do like to start small, you know, and then if it looks like it's working, we want to expand it, by all means, I'm on board.
Yeah, one last thing, because I think my thought process is, and it's really sad, but I was very engaged. And I was engaged because I'm stuck to this phone every day. And I think everybody, as we continue to have that in our life, I think if we introduced iPads to older students, maybe, I'd love to see some analysis behind, do you get better engagement with the students regardless of the age, or maybe even as they get older because they're more focused on their phone, but they have more engaged, to your point, right? Try to make the classroom, you know, a little better environment, a little more fun. I think if I was my daughter who's 15 in class, I probably would enjoy class a little bit better if I had something that was interactive or had screen time in front of me that I'm used to. It's sad to say because we want to reduce screen time, right? But if it helps us as educators and helps the kids learn better, I think it's a huge win-win. So I'm interested to see how we scale it. It seems like there's a lot of value.
Ray, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, when we started the program, it was in district 95% PC, Windows-based environment, about 5% Apple, and it was really in the STEM kind of environments. From day one, we said, we're gonna let this pilot kind of define what that percentage is gonna look like. We wanted to start at the pre-K to 2 for the reasons Ed said, and they're very valid reasons, and a good organizational way to approach it. We're going to still stick with the thought that that percentage is going to be undefined. We're going to roll out the pre-K to 2. We're going to get settled. We're going to continue to learn. We're going to branch out, and we're going to see where this brings us.
Not off the table, and not off the table in an expedited way, but we want to break in slowly. The cost is BOCES aidable. It's about $1 million. That means we will get a BOCES return in the following year. We'll pay for it. Julie has worked on the budget along with Becky and Ray. We'll pay for it over 3 years. It's built into the budget that you're going to see in about 5 minutes in anticipation and hopes that you'll accept that. And we'll evaluate probably around this time or earlier to the extent that we're going to move forward, Rob, with expansion of it. But it's a comfortable place to start. That young man was just outstanding. I'm just so impressed with him. They're new to our school district, and you can see the enthusiasm that he and his sister and his mom have for what we're doing here. And again, kudos to Ed, Dave, Phil, the team. I know Ed led this project, and the 79th Street teachers. He had spent a lot of time with the teachers at 79th Street. Other questions?
How many units?
We're going to purchase about 1,700 to fulfill our pre-K through second grade population.
Broken or stolen, that's on top of it.
Yeah, we purchased the Apple Care piece, which is something a little different from our Windows environment, and it's more comprehensive of a recovery package.
Is the insurance, I know Apple Care, are there different levels? Does the insurance cover the whole 3 year lease?
Yes. Yep.
Do these go home with the students?
Right, I mean, they could.
They could.
You know, and the other nice thing with these is the batteries on an iPad will last a lot longer than the PCs. Like the whole problem when we went remote was the battery was always the number one thing.
Isn't that
Battery
the
was a
truth?
nightmare. These things will last, even if the kid's using them at home, it'll last a good 24 hours through too, so, yeah,
So
for
they,
sure.
they could, if we ever got to that level of a snow day anticipation, we could do it, or for some other medical reason, maybe for a student, we could do that.
Do they get, I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead.
I don't think, because that's a great point. If we ever needed to use these remotely, how Mr. Laurie just talked about it, you wouldn't still, maybe, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I wouldn't think you'd be able to airdrop, and can you airdrop and lock and all those things?
No,
that you showed?
airdropping would
It's
only
gotta
work
be- you have to be
in the
room,
vicinity,
right?
but we would have Schoology, we would have other products that we'd push assignments out through, Teams, you know, all that
So
stuff.
some of those really cool in-classroom things couldn't be replicated outside of the classroom.
Not really, yeah, no. But I mean, it would, we'd find ways around it for sure.
And it would, we'd probably start a real short term, a day or 2 days.
Do Does the individual student get a specific iPad that he deals with?
So what
she?
we've done is we've what's called federated the iPads now. So that basically means that once a kid gets an iPad, we will log into them using their district credentials, and that iPad is then theirs for the remainder of the year. And that's another nice thing too, is because once we sign in one time with that kid, we don't have to sign in again and again and again, which is a nightmare. Again, the pre-K level, when kids are trying to type in their names and they're looking for the S and they're looking for the L and it's 20 minutes.
Barely write them.
You know,
What do you
now
mean?
it's, once they're signed in, they're always
I
in.
mean, people like me still do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Other questions?
Anything else?
Nice job.
Hey, super job, really,
Yeah,
super
my pleasure,
job.
my pleasure. Thank you for,
You have.
dealing
you
with me.
28 more minutes with that suit, so.
I know, I gotta run.
Take your
Really
wife out
gotta-
to dinner
gotta
or
run.
something.
Did I get any sauce?
No, no sauce, take your wife out to dinner, do something.
Capital Cleaners?
Capital what?
It's good to know.
Capital Cleaners? Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I heard they're okay.
Capital Cleaners 4 days now. I'm kidding. Well, let's go. Thank you, great job. Ray, would you pull up the, yes, yeah. Kim, what are you teaching now? Environmental science?
No, I have AP Bio and Human Bio, sports med.
Okay, AP Bio, how's it going?
Great. Good group.
How's our AP Bio students doing?
We've got a nice group. We've got a really high achieving group, so I'm excited.
Great, great. Thanks for your work too. Dave, how are you?
Fantastic.
That's the right answer, man. Phil, how's everything at BOCES?
Fantastic, thank you.
All right.
Vacation all the time.
All right, good. Okay, let's move. Julie, come on up. Julie is here. Pinch hitting for Manny Mota is Julie Jacqueline. Our dear friend Becky is a little under the weather, and we had to drag her out and told her that Julie and I will do my best to go through the budget. You may distribute those, Julie. Thank you for your consideration. So let me just set a little tone for the budget here, and then we'll go through this. You recall the last time we were together, I promised you that we would have 7 iterations of the 25-26 budget. Each time we go through the budget, you will find a different color on the budget, and with the different color, this time I think it's lavender. Would that be the color? Pink?
I did pink for Valentine's Day.
Magenta. See, I tried lavender. I'm not really good with colors. But anyways, that anytime you see that color, whatever it is, that indicates that we've made a change from your last to this budget, because we've received updated information, clarifying information, or some number has come in from the state. So what I'd like to do is I'll try the revenue side, and then Julie can Julie can clean up all of my mistakes. So on the revenue side, there are no changes in revenue in the first couple of lines, except for the fact that we have a tighter number on our ABOFA money. This is the current capital project you're in. Remember that it's 98% reimbursable, the project, and there are some items that don't get reimbursed. What would those items be? Work we did in this building, work we did at the CEC. Those are not reimbursable items because there aren't students here. So only in places where there are students, and only up to 98% do we get a reimbursement back. So you'll see, and what happens is each year in the state budget run, they start to give us parts of that $29 million. So here's the first $2.3 million we're going to receive. It'll be offset on the expense side by what we actually have to pay, and it's about $190,000 more. As you scroll up, we think that our revenues on interest and tax collection are we're pretty confident there. Of course, there's still 5 months left to go. And if you scroll up a little more, you will see we are using for the first time, and I'm going to ask Julie to talk about this, we added our first amount of reserve money. and it's the reserve for debt. And we have to use this money. It's part of a requirement. Can you explain why, Jewel?
Yes, so the largest part of that is in 2016 with the Inventing Tomorrow project, we received a premium on that bond issue. So we have to spend down that premium over the life of the bond. So we are using we plan to use $750,000 of that. And we plan to do that for the next 3 years until that debt service is up.
And why would it be 915?
The other portion of that is the other 165,000 is from the premium we received on the bond anticipation note for ABOFA in July of 2024.
So we're required to use the 2016 debt and the new bond issue to work it down. So the first reserve we're going to use is 915,000 and change as required. As you scroll up, I don't believe there are any other changes. No, you're good, Ray. All I will tell you is, if today was the budget day, we believe we would be bringing in $198,890,787. That's how much we think the revenue will come to us. If you would scroll just up again, the other way. Keep going. I want to go to foundation aid. 7 million. No. More. Other way. Yeah, it's at the top. Thank you, Earl. Foundation aid, there it is. See, that's what came out from the governor, the $7 million. I'm hopeful, but I'm not going to put it in there, that $7 million may increase some. I'm hopeful. As you may have heard if you went to the legislative breakfast, that usually is the floor. Now the legislature gets their hands in it, and hopefully they will add to it. I think there's a possibility that number could grow for us. One of the concerns I have is that when you look across the state, you see most districts, even the hold harmless ones like Lewiston Porter, who got 0 last year, received 2%. The biggest group of schools that didn't benefit from this formula were the schools in New York City. They're actually losing money. So that gives me a little pause for concern about how much more we'll get in foundation aid. But that's not a bad floor at $7 million. If we go to the other side, on the appropriation side, what the first 7 purples are, or the first 6 purples are the work of Julie, Maria, and Alicia Savino. They went through line by line and figured out the salary increase for every single person in our district. And they were able to find some money savings.
Yes.
So those numbers those expenses actually went down when they went line by line by line. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to point out this line, staff to grants. Later on this evening, I'd like to talk a little bit about the commentary about the federal government giving up the Department of Education. But we have in our budget, in our savings account, reserve federal money. I think it's the time to take that money out of reserve and use. For obvious reasons. We don't know what's going to happen down the line. Remember, this is excess money that we haven't used, so it's a reserve pot in our grants that we haven't used, that we've accumulated over the years. I know we have other reserve funds, but for strategic purposes, I'd like to pull in the federal money now so that we can assure that won't, and I don't know if it will or won't, but I don't want to run any risk of losing that money. So I want to pull in the federal reserve money first. So what we would do is we would use that money to put more staff into that grant reserve for this year. It is a one-time availability to do, but I don't want to lose the money. When you scroll down a little more, we had in there the NIPA increases. I think you all heard the great news that the NIPA increase was halted yesterday. We put that in there and we didn't change it because we were going to start to think about estimating how much we wanted to put in there. But I feel comfortable that we can wipe that line right off of your next iteration. Summer programming. For the past 4 or 5 years, I can't remember, we have always paid for summer programming with ARP money. We no longer have ARP money. We must do credit recovery courses for Niagara Falls High School students. So we added into the general fund that money, and that's why that's going on the expense side, because we no longer have ARP money. Below that, we have, I think, Richard and Rick, maybe 1 or 2 grants that are expiring. We're going to need to put, some of our grants are expiring and we have people in them. We're going to need to take that person or persons out of the grant and put it into the expense side. We just have to analyze a little bit more who it is and how much. The BOCES tuition, did it go down a little bit?
It did. Originally, we were estimating about 12%. We looked at the rates again, and they came in at about 10%. So that was a little bit of a cost savings from the first iteration of the budget.
So, go ahead.
Why is that? Is there not
Why,
more students?
why did it go down?
Yeah.
I mean,
It was just, they changed their estimated rates. We just got, they originally gave us estimates, we got final rates.
right, they estimated it high, we put the high number in,
It came in lower.
and then we received an actual rate.
Yes.
So the actual increase in BOCES is 10%. There's the offset on debts. There's the offset on a BOFA. So we're going to get 2.3 million. We're going to spend 2.5. That 2.5 is a percentage of the 98%, the 2%, plus the unaided things that we did. ERS and TRS, Julie, what happened?
So those changed along with the FICA Med as the salary and wage increases changed. Those also changed. The ERS and TRS are our pension costs. So those are based on our salaries and wages. And then the employer FICA Med changed also. It decreased. Just the first iteration of the budget, we had estimated higher increases for the salary and wages. So, yes, yep.
So once Alicia, and Maria honed in on exactly the people, it went down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to show this to you. Our budget, pretend we didn't have a capital project, our budget would be growing 3.82%, just so you have an estimate of year-to-year growth in our budget. But because we're getting that ABOFA money in for the capital project, if you figure it out, it's really a 5.84 increase. Had we not done a capital project, which some districts don't do, it's a 3.8% increase. If you scroll a little bit more so we can see, you can see the CPI is 2.9%. So we would be projected to spend $202,146,000. So the gap would be 4.1. But we stated to you that we're going to use $915,000 out of reserves, which makes our gap today $3.2 million. Last week it was about 4.3. The good news is it's going the right way. The caveat is we used a reserve. We used a reserve that we had to, and I'm recommending a conscious decision on the federal money in reserve too. So the gap lowered, 3.2. If you recall, last year at this time, we were in the 6s. We made it. We were in the high 6, 7s. We're at 3.2 now. If you'd scroll up, and then 2 more things, and then I'll take questions. I want to start building the box called budget considerations. I want to start building that box. So I'm going to add the first two items in that box. These are things that are not in this budget. I want you to know what are not in this budget. The first one is judgment and claims. We know, and we'll hear more about this very soon in an executive session, as soon as February 27th. We know that we have some real liabilities with the Child Victims Act. I'm not at liberty to talk any more about that than that. But I don't think it's an unknown fact that the district is dealing with that. At the current rate of this budget, we have not put any money in there for judgment and claims on the Child Victims Act. After, we may never put that a dollar amount, but after you hear our attorneys present, we'll have a better handle on how we want to handle that. The other issue that's not in this budget, the $303,000, it's not in this budget. Let me tell you what this is. There are two summer programs that we've traditionally run for 8 years, 9 years, probably as long as 9 years since I've been superintendent, is we've done an elementary summer school, a K-5 elementary summer school, and a Camp Wolverine for our exceptionally talented students. That is not in the budget. We used to pay for that out of ARP money. We don't have it. I'm not saying we're not going to do that, but I really need Rick and team to look at how it's best if I recommend that we add in an elementary summer program. We have some concern, quite frankly, about the return on investment in terms of the number of kids that are attending. It's my personal thinking that we need to do something with our elementary kids in the summer. Just am not sure yet what it is. And with our exceptional children in Camp Wolverine. I want you to know that that budget does not feature that. This budget features everything but those two things, judgment and claims and Camp Wolverine and elementary summer school. Now there are other things that we would like to add from the maintenance side. Earl has constantly been talking to me about a salt truck. From the instructional side, there are some things that Rick has been thinking about enhancing the budget with, and the high school has some thoughts on expanding our alternative programs. Those are not included yet. In the coming weeks, we'll add to that box. We'll give you some opportunity to debate that and discuss that, whether we want to put that in or not. This is number 2 of 7. And if you'd scroll up one more slide, I'd like to show you this. There's the debt service reserve is purple because we use $915,000. The grant carryover is what we have left in our grant federal bucket. And the yellow is because on the 27th, I think the 27th,
Yes.
we will give you the tax cap, what your tax cap could be. I'm not going to recommend it to you. If you wanted to raise taxes, how much you could raise and how much you could earn from raising that tax cap. Again, I don't believe I'm going to recommend that to you. It's your prerogative. It hasn't been done in the last 9 years I can speak to. But it will, my final thought is it will be a positive number. In years past, it's been negative, and the voters have had to pass the budget by 60%. Thank you, voters, for 85%. The voters would have, this year, it's 50% plus one more person. That's where we're at now.
I have a question for you.
You can ask anything you'd like.
The special ed program for the summer program, is that?
It's not in there now. It may come back, and I'll have to, if we're gonna bring it back, I'll have to add that to an expense. We're still determining the best design of it for the best return on our investment. I'm not saying it's not gonna go back in there. I just wanna take some time to make sure the design that we have meets the most kids' needs and has the best attendance. But it's not in there yet.
No programs for that to be written? grant money?
We have extended school year programs in there that we're required to have for exceptional children, but the Camp Wolverine was an additional program that we created, and it's not in there yet. Doesn't mean it won't get in there. I just want you to know what's in there and what isn't. I wanted to illustrate how we would work what's not in the budget, and we'll make some value judgments. And again, on the elementary side, it's really something that Rick has to determine. Yeah.
Just a question. You're thinking of changing the format for this summer program?
Yes.
We're not getting the number of kids that we should participating in?
Yes.
And then we're going to try to find out what to do to get kids in there?
Yes. Or change the format of it. This is all a conversation and nothing said. We get 800 registered. We have 600, 500 show up. And by the last week, there's 200 kids there. So that's the reason why it's not in there. I want to look at the return on investment on that structure. So very, very broadly, should we have 1 week camps? Should we do something different with the elementary kids? Break them up into 1 day. Should they come every Tuesday? I don't know yet. We need some work time on that. Rob and then Earl.
Have we, I'm sure we have we done surveys with families and parents? So for the 800 that registered, have we surveyed as many that would respond as to why those 600 people have not returned or didn't finish it out? Like what's the target board of why?
Well, we did, and there were the most prevalent response is that they have competing activities that they like to participate in over the summer. So that most often results in very sporadic attendance. So the kids don't really get much out of the program if they're only attending a couple days a week, because they may go on a picnic one day, they may go to another special event, they may see a relative that's in town, or they may go out of town to visit a relative during that time, and so their attendance is very, very low. And we have tried every iteration of that program possible. We've had one site, multiple sites. It's been a half day, it's been a full day. We've enriched it with a lot of different activities. So it's partly academic and partly recreational and enrichment. And frustratingly, the average attendance does not change. We had a couple of years within the last 3 years where the enrollment, I should say not enrollment, the registration was over 1,000 students. And then about 500 kids will show up, and we count them as enrolled, but what that really means is that they attended once. So they may never attend again. And typically between 250 and 350 kids attend with some regularity every summer. So what that winds up happening is we waste a lot of funding because we can't predict what those final attendance rates will look like, so we must have staff to accommodate the number of kids we're hoping for, and materials and supplies, etc. So the cost balloons. That's what Mr. Laurie was referring to when he was talking about the rate of return. It's been a real struggle.
I have a follow-up, if I may. Thank you for that. So it sounds like you're saying the majority of those that signed up said it was conflicting opportunities throughout the summer. So maybe we had and pardon my ignorance if my example's wrong, but say we had a hockey or a soccer program or something, right? And they already have a Timbits program going on. Do we also ask, so if we had 1,000 families that signed up, majority attend one time, they say it's because there's conflicting things to do throughout the summer. Have we asked them, well, what things could we do that wouldn't be a conflict that you would actually attend every day in between that?
We did 2 years ago. After that survey, we made two major changes to it. We changed it from a 4-day-a-week program to a 5-day-a-week program. The parents were saying that we typically did not run the program on Fridays, and they said that that was difficult because they needed to count on that consistent placement for their child Monday through Friday. So we did away with the 3-day weekend, and we went to a 5-day week program. Then they said some of the feedback that we got that it was too spread out. So we put it into a concentrated 3-week run. And we did it in July, a little bit later in July, so it ran into the first week of August. But we made sure we kept it at a time where if there are older siblings in the family who may be in a high school program, the programs were all running concurrently. So that a family didn't have a situation where their older child, who maybe provided some supervision for their younger siblings, was off somewhere involved in a program, and the younger children didn't have any place to go. So we strategized and looked at it that way and scheduled it. But it has not had an effect on the overall attendance.
One of the, thanks Rick, one of the things that we've never done, and this is why we need some time, is that we've never hosted it in a student's home school. We've always consolidated it to, I think last year was G.J. Mann or Hyde Park. I know Hyde Park has hosted it. You know, we've never said, okay, you go to your home school. So that's in my mind too. But we got to look at costs. It's on there because I want to be honest with you and tell you what's in and what's not in. And I also need some more time to think about this and work with staff to figure out what. See, I believe that summer slide thing is really true. I really think it's true. We just have to come up with the best model. But I wanted to give you a representation of how did this budget jump up $300,000 all of a sudden? Where did that come from? I want to put that out there early to show you that we're working on ways, but there's $300,000 that is not reflected in here that was paid for out of ARP in the past, which was allowable, that we have to do some work on. So wow, well, how did that jump into you? Earl?
So there's a couple things that kind of got touched on, because my question with that 200 number, was it like we would start with 5 and then it declined and at the end it reached 200, but you were saying throughout the program it's like 250, 300, with some degree of regularity. My question would be, when did those parents give feedback on what programs are conflicting, and then have we considered collaborating to a degree so that we can avoid that? I grew up a housing authority kid. Our summer camp program was, we had chess, all types of, it was enriching. So if this was an option, I wouldn't have been there. I would have been
right
with, at the resource, because that was a program that I was used to.
Right.
But if it's like we're offering similar things, maybe we can collaborate to a degree, or at least find a way to complement. Because when I worked through that program, there were some students who they do the soccer thing in the morning, and then they would come to us in the afternoon. And I'm just trying to see if that's one of the things, and if that'd be a way that we could kind of avoid some of that fall off.
I would say that that's something that we have to look at, right? There's that, and God love the PAL program that somebody said Timbits. There's hundreds of kids out there on our fields, by the way. I don't know. Maybe we need to have the academic part in the afternoon. You know what I'm saying? We need some time I've heard the board say, always look at everything. And I believe, don't just roll the same thing out. Let's look at everything and let's make a real value judgment for the best return on our investment. That also doesn't mean these are no's. That means we just need some time. And I don't want to spring something on you on budget 7 that I should have told you in budget 2. That's all.
Side note, I have another question, but blame Jimmy, he brought this whole thing up and then he expanded on it, so it's their fault if anybody gets aggravated, we're still talking
Oh,
about it.
it's a good question.
But I do,
You
I'm,
need the novel version, not the Reader's Digest version.
would it be a good quarter in this district if you and I didn't have a little spat? Thank you for that, I appreciate it. You're wonderful, and you look
So
great.
let me.
Oh, I do have another question.
Oh, sure.
That's why I prefaced it with, it was their fault, not mine, he got agitated, but I still love him anyways. Have we looked outside of the district to find out if anyone is successful with a similar program, and what are they doing that's successful that we could expand on?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the program that has been designed is a top-notch academic program. And very few districts offer elementary summer school, very few.
Most don't. I'm
We-
not aware
they
of
don't.
any.
We are one of the few. Now, I believe in that summer slide stuff. You know what I mean by summer slide? Kids over those 11 weeks lose some of the gains that they're individually making. Yeah, sure. So we are a rare entity in terms of elementary summer school. And for those elementary parents that are listening, and I know they are, your feedback is welcome too, if you have an idea. So, call Rick, is what I would say. We will come back to you with a proposal though. I just wanted to put a placeholder in there so you knew what wasn't in there. So we didn't jump it back up without you having some clue what we didn't include, because I keep preaching, everything that we're doing now, we roll forward. There's something that we've done that we didn't roll forward. That's why I put it in there. Yeah, Earl.
Last comment, because you get the feedback that there aren't many options for our kids in the summer. And then to hear that we have upwards of 1,000 register and 200 to 300 show on a regular basis, like that's frustrating.
Yeah.
And
It's incongruent, I hear it.
yes, and it's just like, how do you break that barrier?
Yep. We have some work to do.
I think you hit the nail on the head though. I think putting the programs in the home school area, if there's some sort of like, hey, the child can comfortably walk out of their house, go over, it's safe, they don't have to get rides or maybe transportation, who knows, but it's a great suggestion.
Well, I also know Miss Manella, Miss Ostertag, and Mr. Tuma, just because they're here, they own their kids, right? They own their kids. They know their kids. They own the 500 at Cataract and the 500 at Hyde Park. I'm not pressuring them, but maybe that ownership, and they'll get support, maybe that ownership is all it needs. I don't know. Then we'll have to figure out the cost too, because with that model, we'll have to figure out the cost. And it may be worth it, Rob, and everyone else. It may be worth it to try that, because we haven't tried that. Because I know these two administrators, along with the other 6 elementary administrators, they own kids. They know them, they know where they're at, they know where they have needs, they know their situations. It's in the thought process.
And for those at home that are 21 and over and like to have a cocktail, the drinking game of Mark's large words like incongruent, they just had a sip of a shot of something. That was a good one. Way to throw that one out, buddy.
I have a few more. Thank you very much. Usually during the week, Rob, I try to give Earl one good big word a week too.
What was the word of the week? It's just like, what was the word of the week this week? I put you on the spot, I'm sorry. Well, Mark put you on the spot.
Mark, do the special ed kids program better attended
Yes.
than the others?
Yes.
Okay.
Our
that's all.
exceptional, yes, our exceptional children.
Yeah.
Our exceptional children do have better attendance. I just want to have a look.
Maybe,
Just want to have a look.
maybe
Just want to have a look.
maybe
All I
we
wanna
can
is have a
do.
look.
I don't know. You know how you? I think there's ways of doing that. is if you did like 1 week shots at different programs where kids sign up to go, like a culinary institute,
Yeah.
okay? They only take 30 kids, 40 kids, and they fill it up.
Yep.
I mean, just do it for 5 days, so because that way you get some time to play and do what they want to do.
I guarantee you, we're going to revisit this. I just wanted to make sure you knew what was and wasn't, so I'm transparent. Aside from the summer issue, any other questions about, I don't mean to look at you, Brad, but does it make sense, I hope?
No, yes, and no. No other questions.
Oh, thank you. But the budget itself, I'm only calling on you because we're dancing for the first time. Yeah, that's how it happens for me. I'm slowly learning things too. Yeah. I do, Mrs. Dunn, Mr. McLeod. We need some more time, but I just want to show you where we're at. All right? That was your best line, Jimmy. Okay, any other questions, Mr. Petrosi? My, we got through a whole budget talk and Mr. Petrosi didn't say anything. That is a miraculous statement. Thank you. Hey, thank you. Promise is February 27th, you'll see an update, and you will also see your tax rate, which you can raise. Julie, you killed it again. Great job.
You did. Thank you.
Ms. Dunn?
When you talked about the federal money,
Yes, ma'am.
actually have it?
Yes, we do. We have it right now.
That's a good question.
We actually have it right now, Ms. Dunn.
But it could go up. That's what you said, right? On
It
the
could go
legislative
away.
breakfast?
I don't want it to.
Oh.
I don't know what's going to happen. I just want to. We have it, Mrs. Dunn.
Okay, yes.
We have it. I don't have it in my pocket.
The
We have it in
foundation.
our bank accounts. I'm hedging my bets on this a little bit, and we have other reserve funds. I'd rather hit that reserve fund for obvious reasons, okay, without getting into a political discussion here. Does that make sense? Okay.
And she said foundation aid, because the foundation aid can still go up.
Yes, it can.
Gotcha.
I'm hedging my bets on the federal dollars that we have in reserve. I pray that we have it and get more, but that's the one I think is the most, that's the one most in question. If we can, move to the agenda, and I will move, I'm going to move swiftly, but it's not to try to gloss over anything. It's just that I'm trying to move. So you can see we have a meeting on the 27th. I put the TBD in there because we do need to spend some time for the reason I mentioned earlier in the executive session. So I'm contemplating that at that time, okay? If you'd go to the agenda, Ray. Thank you. I mentioned last meeting that we might have 2 graduates. Mrs. Velardo and Mr. Ventry spoke to the 2 families. The students have graduated and completed all their requirements. They're done. They would rather celebrate with their whole classmate group June 27th. They don't want to come early. They can still go to college. They don't need. We'll sign that they have a diploma, but they'll celebrate then. We have no bids. We have Maria. Are you almost ready, Maria? I'm ready now. Let's do the personnel reports, ladies and gents. You'll get 2 packets, a certificated and a classified, and Maria will take you through it and probably say we're going to add some things. Earl could have helped you. Thank you. Not good for the what?
We got dead air.
Oh, the airwaves. Oh, those at home, I don't have any dead air. Good point, Maria. Yeah, I would have thought Earl might have helped you. He was slumbering.
All right, so tonight we'd like to start with the classified report. And we have a retirement of one of our general repairers in the carpentry shop. Then we have a resignation of our health benefits coordinator at the Head Start program. We're actively seeking her replacement. And we have the promotional appointment of an assistant child care associate at Calfas. Next up, you'll see some provisional appointments of 2 secretaries, a custodian, and a systems engineer in the Information Services Department.
Okay, I just want to say that custodian at Abbott comes highly recommended from the school and the principal. And the former custodian, because I think you know some of you know the former custodian, is coming to join us here in central office. Yes, yes, he's coming to join us in central office. And I hope he doesn't spend too much time in Earl's office talking. Sorry, Maria.
No, that's just fine. So we have a probationary appointment of a safety officer. Then we have some temporary appointments, mostly in the associate area. And turning to page 4 of 8, we have change of status. Some of these folks are moving from probationary to permanent. You'll notice that they are in the clinic, school monitor lunch, and special education classroom associates. And moving to, that'll take you to the bottom of page 5 of 8. Those are our folks who have gone from probationary to permanent as well, and Mr. Laurie has seen and reviewed all of their evaluations. We have a safety officer who is currently on a leave of absence, and then here we have our involuntary transfers of a porter, clinic associate, custodian, technology associate, network technician, and technology associate. The voluntary transfers, and this is where you see the custodian transferring from Abbott to central office, these are folks that put in for a transfer and Mr. Laurie recommending to you to grant their transfers. Additional hours for trauma-informed care training and extended school day associates at Niagara Falls High School. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Page 5 of 8, 1, 2, 3 down.
5 of 8, 3 down. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir.
We're gonna have, there's changing it, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
5 of 8.
I think she
3
gets
down.
a permanent job in that position.
Yeah, so
Takes
she's
Go ahead,
yeah,
Maria.
Oh,
that's
so
okay, I'm
then-
sorry.
then
She's
leave it.
permanent, and in the next report, you're gonna see the appointment to the temporary teaching assistant position.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
That was the question.
So if I can, I know where you're going. She gets a permanent job.
Okay.
Take a leave to take a different position within the district. Is that correct, Maria?
That's correct.
Does
Mr.
that
Laurie.
read your mind, Mr. Bass?
Yes, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the date and I know that you know,
Right.
change happened afterwards.
So we want to make sure we lock her earned permanency and then move her from there to a different position.
They're very excited.
Good. I'm excited that
She's
she's gonna do a great job.
She's a very good worker. Any other questions?
Okay, moving on to the certificated report. We had a teacher on special assignment rescind her retirement. We're happy to have her stay with us. Moving to page 2 of 13, Mr. Bass, I think you'll see what you were looking for there. These are new teaching assistants. So these folks have become certified as teaching assistants, and as part of our philosophy for growing our own in the district, we are giving these folks the opportunity to take long-term teaching assistant positions when the people who they're in for are either on leaves or are taking teaching positions. So that's why you're seeing them listed here with the end dates there, because we have to see what happens with the people who they are in for.
And can I just add that these positions are usually filled by September, so they don't pop up during the school year often?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
It's happening due to a couple of factors. We have some folks who are going on maternity leave. We have some folks who need to take long-term medical absences. Those things we can't predict, but we can predict who's going to get classroom assignments at the end of the year, which would open up these positions in the case of a couple of these teaching assistants listed.
Yeah, because I had some people say that they applied, and I'm like, we don't really have that, especially at the midpoint, unless, you know, okay.
You're correct.
And the other thing I may add is we try to look within first.
Yes.
So if we've got a really stellar associate who is also certified as a teaching assistant, we want to upscale or move them up to a higher level position because we know their background, right? They come to work on time, they're great, they love kids, they're certified, and they do a darn good job.
That's correct.
We have a tenure.
We have one tenure appointment this evening.
No, for the 27th.
Well, the effective date is February 22nd, so
Oh,
it's
got
going to
it.
kind of,
Yeah.
going to vote on it afterwards, but it's going to have taken effect by then. Leave of absence we have here to take other district positions and also a personal one without pay. And then we have per diem and Schedule B. And then we also have, if you'll go, I'm just trying to get to
Just
there.
a point about the leave of absences, and I know, Mr. Petrosi, we've talked about that a lot. The leave of absences that we're tending to grant now, unless there's some extraordinary circumstances, are to take other positions within our district, not other districts. You know the conversations we've had about that. So there may at some time be some extraneous medical condition or something else, but we've had a lot of discussion about that. So these are people moving, like the scenario that Mr. Bass was referring to, within our district.
I would like to kudos to Mrs. Buckman for her professionalism in securing that employee to stay on, because she is excellent, and I know that she was very impressed with your professionalism and her grading of what she's done, and I thank you for that.
Yeah. Buckman gets credit on the first name on the rescission. This is done. Oh, yeah, Buckman, all right. All right, let's not get her going too much, all right? She's still in training. Let's not get her too big of a head yet. All right, Buckman, that's enough.
Any questions on the certificated report?
That's enough, Buckman.
Great job, Mrs. Buckman.
Maria, what's your anticipation for asterisks?
There will be a couple.
All right. You also see the spring coaches on there, if you did that.
That's where I had left off. Sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Lawyer. Yeah, that's where I left off.
See the spring coaches on there? Yes. Spring season's coming up, so we have to get these people appointed. You can see, we've got a lot of spring sports coming up. It's good. Questions? Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go through the short-term contracts. There are some changes that I want to refer to. The first one is to send our band to a competition in Boston. That's their trip this year. We do pay for their bus. That's what that's for our Niagara Falls High School band to go. The second one is what the cost is to send our historically black college tour. Now, something very different happened. The group taking the HBCU trip raised $25,000. This is the total cost of the trip. The district is going to only contribute $3,000 this year for the chaperones. So please note that while that's the total amount, the A code will reflect $3,000 to cover the chaperones. And I want to do two things when I pause here. Commend the Black Excellence Club who raised the $25,000, and thank those leaders for taking our kids on a continuous trip. But they put their own skin in the game to show how important it was for that trip. So of that amount, the district is paying only $3,000, and that's for chaperones. We've been doing boxing for a couple of years. This one is for a staff development day tomorrow. Tomorrow is an afternoon staff development, and the high school has set up 14 different stations around the city for our high school teachers to participate in the afternoon. This is to help our teachers in the afternoon. It's $100 with a little bit of self-defense. Not that they ever need it in school, but that's what that is. That's different than our boxing program, which we've been doing. You know, we just had a successful event with the Bennett School. That dollar amount is not correct. That dollar amount is going to be lessened quite significantly because our subscription of students is down. So by the next time you see that amount, it will be significantly less in terms of what the cost is for Fight Night Boxing, based on the number of kids participating. Reverend Copeland, you've met Reverend Copeland. He was here before you. I think you remember him. We want to get him to Abbott. That also is still being discussed with Ms. Tompkins there. So that may stay or it may come off. Ms. Tompkins, Reverend Copeland, and myself need to have some conversation. That will be decided on by the 27th. The next ones are, again, working with our boys and men of color. What I'll tell you about these contracts are that next year they will start going to our Say Yes Boys and Men of Color program. These will be ending this year and will be moving to our Say Yes program. Number 8 is paid for by the Teacher Resource Center. See, it's an F code. That course is paid for by a grant. It's enhancing our ELL students' skills, but our teacher skills. Now, number 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all short-term contracts for Black History Month in different schools. They're bringing in different presenters for Black History Month. Gaskell's doing a Black History celebration next Wednesday. Bond has it on the 19th, same time. And Abbott, or there's Hyde Park's, Miss Bianco's, is on the 19th as well. And number 12, by the way, is a storyteller, poetry, and it was something that was requested by Hyde Park. Number 13, that money is to continue to train our kids to get OSHA cards. So this is to pay the iron workers to train kids to get OSHA cards, which I think is a really great value added. Yeah. The amount is incorrect? Okay, so I was going to say that's pretty cheap. I mean, for the 160 kids we're getting OSHA cards for. But I think when you think about value added, and you're a high school student and you have your OSHA card, I think it's a pretty good deal. Number 14 is resilience training with our big picture students. Remember, there are our alternative school students at Niagara Falls High School. Number 15 is kind of an interesting one. It's paid for by the mental health grant that we have. And I don't want to call you out, Mr. McLeod, but you asked a really good question, about where the company is from. He asked, and I appreciate you calling ahead too, but why are we going to Scottsdale? This is a national company that sets up it's a national Title I company that sets up culinary classes around the country for Title I schools. What they do is they hire local chefs to teach the course. So, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the question was, we have enough local chefs, why don't we use them? And it was a good question. F Bites is 7 through 12, Bobby Anderson. This is a national company who will come in here and hire local chefs. And am I correct, Diane? And Hyde Park School has asked for it along with Abbott. And that's an after-school program? Twice a week. And it will take up to 120 kids between the two schools, Abbott and Hyde Park, for culinary. And I would assume a lot of kids like culinary at your school. Great way to keep kids after school. Modi Cox is just, his name speaks for itself. He's just wonderful with our kids. You can see it's an F code. That's a mental health grant. And over the falls, we have 7 teams going to the state robotics championships. 5 from LaSalle. I want to give a really big plug because it's the first time we got 2 teams from Gaskill. Way to go, Gaskill. LaSalle, we expected. Gaskill, way to go. We have to transport 7 teams of students to Syracuse, and we're paying for that bus to take them there. That's what that is. Yeah.
For anyone listening, we just got our packets this week, similar to what you said, that Brad reached out to you. and then we go through these. I mean, I've been on the board for quite a while. I can't remember this amount of money ever being spent on short-term contracts. Probably not for tonight, but I mean, I'm just spot checking through these, and I mean, there's a handful of, I haven't invested enough time to look into each one of these, but I mean, there's a handful that's over $100,000 just in and of itself. And I remember one specific conversation that we had in a board meeting where our ears perked up off of one contract that happened to be 20 grand. So when I see 100 grand on just a couple, and then, you know, I don't know what the total is. We should probably start putting a grand total on here, but I think I might be interested in learning more about ones we haven't done before and what exactly we're getting out of that type of money. That's a lot of money.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else has any
No,
thoughts.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And by the way, I trust you.
Yeah, I know
And
you do.
anything that you bring in is probably super valuable, especially if
I-
your name's next to it. I don't even know if yours are the ones, but
I think
it's a lot of money.
I think it's a lot of money. It's a good question, especially in light of the previous question we were talking about. I don't know if this is where you're going, but we were just having a conversation about summer programs and money that's not in the budget. So I think it's a really good point, and I think this is probably one of the most extensive short-term contract lists we've had. I think we owe you that. The only caveat I will make is that some of these that are F codes, you know, the F codes, the grant was written so some of this work gets done.
Understood.
So that would be the only comeback I would have to you. But what you're asking for, we will do. And just know that if it says F in front of it, it was paid for by a grant, and sometimes the grant, we wrote in the grant to get the money, so we have to use it for that money.
Well, that was my follow-up was, could it also be the time of year?
Yes, mid-year.
Correct.
So I would be shocked if you see this the rest of this year. You're going to see a ton of these in August, more of them in September, and a lot usually in January. We're actually a little behind. This should have been like this in January. Nonetheless, your point is well taken. Especially, I think what we'll try to do is bifurcate them with A code and F code too. Maybe we can clean this up that way too. But we'll go
But
through
that speaks for itself as far as the timing of when
Yeah.
we maybe have to use the money.
Yeah.
Or, I do have one more recommendation. I think it might be great for the district, or at least for us to see it. And if I've been presented it and I haven't seen it, I'm sorry ahead of time. But maybe when we invest this type of, when we make this type of investment into our kids in the district for any contract, I'd love to see results or reporting after those types of things take place, just to kind of see, to your point, the boxing one's a great one. Nothing to really do with this conversation, but for the topic of, hey, it might be lower because we don't have enough kids to
Right.
go into it, right? So like to see those kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, what was the results of the program? What did our kids get out of it? Was it worth the spend?
Yeah.
Should we spend more? Should we do more with those, with those
No,
businesses?
the numbers, I think it's, first of all, yeah, I get it. And I know you're just picking on the one. It's a good program, numbers are down. And I know you're not picking on that one.
Only because you said that particular one
Yeah.
would go down. It's a great example of something that you're keeping track of, right? Like, hey, this one's already going down, so the number might be lower. Are we doing that with other
Yes.
things?
Yep.
I would like to see us maybe use our resources, which we are fortunate to have with SUNY, and bring in like the chefs from SUNY to work with our kids and give them the opportunity to work with them and maybe look for them for going into SUNY and taking up the culinary skills.
Yep. It's a good point.
I mean, I'm sure you could talk to the president and work out something with him. He'd love to work with the community. I'm just saying that we
think-
have them.
Yeah.
I'd like to use them.
It's a good point. I'm not trying to call them out, but you see Arizona, we want to keep, we've prided ourselves as a district with our capital projects and keeping our money in our community. So I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you.
And I mean,
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
even with Niagara,
Makes sense.
we've got the best of the best in this area, and
Makes sense.
Why don't we spend it here? I mean,
Yep. I just like to flood our kids with as many opportunities as we can.
I think
But
we all
but
do.
your points are well taken. If we can move on, we'll have the Head Start report, and I'll try and ask for help. Totally Buffalo Cares gave us $25,000 worth of gifts for kids at 6 schools. I know Angela was big at Cataract. Did you get this at Hyde Park? Hyde Park, Cataract. I'm not going to start naming the schools, but this organization took care of Christmas for hundreds of kids. And I just wanted to recognize them with a resolution. They deserve it. At some point, we're going to come to you with a recommendation for golden apples in June. And this is one of the groups that's on our list. And I'll ask one of the totally, I mean, I know Cataract, I'm just looking at Angela, Cataract really took a big lead on this. And if the board chooses to give a golden apple, we'll work with you to present that. So thank you. The 602 is a grant, $289,131 for UPK kids. It's a state grant, it's good money. 603 is $18,022. Title III, that's an entitlement that is for our ELL students. And we also received an immigrant grant, $23,149. So see 603 and 604, when we talk about the impact of losing the federal education department, I'm concerned that those entitlements will no longer be there after this year. That could be an impact, the immigrant grant and the Title III. I don't know that for a fact. I'll talk about it in a moment. So that's $330,000 worth of grants this month. Earl, did you want to comment on the fire safety reports that were done in December?
Yes, they were all completed before winter break, and we did really well this year. We had 4 buildings where there were 0 findings, and all the other findings throughout other buildings were minor. And this is part of the perfunctory process of posting these.
whoa, nice word, Earl. I
Rod,
like
did
that.
you hear that word from Earl?
That got it.
Perfunctory.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
It's a great one.
Nothing that the fire department does is perfunctory.
Can we get Ray to do some AI on what that meaning, what the meanings of these are?
It means routine and mundane, and I don't think Earl does anything routine and mundane. All right, so you'll need to go back to school on the word perfunctory. Ooh. The good news is the fire reports were really good this year. 4 perfect schools, right? 4 perfect schools. Any major changes that we had to make?
None at all.
All right.
None at all.
Judith Mary Hine, would you take 606 and 607?
606 and 607 are absolutely regular, routine resolutions that you see annually to prepare for the vote. The first is the machine custodians who help to assist the inspectors with a problem in the voting machine. And the statutory meeting is just the day after the election, so you can accept the results of the vote.
Remember that month we have the meeting on Wednesday. So that will set your meeting on Wednesday after the vote. Remember, you have to do it within 24 hours for some unknown legal reason to me, but whatever. Yeah. Judith? What Mr. Consemi is referring to, and it's a good question, is that we promised to prepare 22 students to be poll workers.
I'm very excited about this. I'm working with Val Rotella. She's identifying students who may be interested. I'm going to the high school next Wednesday to meet with those students, explain what they would be doing, how they would be compensated, what they would be learning. what the benefits would be to them as well as to the district, and I believe to the county as well. And then hopefully we'll have just bunches of students who cannot wait to enthusiastically join our ranks as inspectors, become better voters, have some civics education, and maybe even work general elections.
Yep, we're on track. All Judith Mary Heim Glasser who did that. So, thank you.
If we find some really good students, we need to get a student on this board.
Well, on July 2nd, you will be adding a student to the board. You have to by law. I think we'll have them sit right next to me and Mrs. Dunn. So by July 2nd, just so you know, Mrs. Villardo is in the process of, I think she's going to utilize the student council at Niagara Falls High School to select the required ad hoc board member that will sit at the table. He or she can't vote, no executive session, but I'm hoping you'll let he or she participate as much as they want and ask questions and offer opinions, because it's part of civics. Or next to Mr. Consemi.
Will the kids have like a chance every year, like a new student?
Yes. I think we're going to start with a senior this time,
Nice.
but we might want to think about opening up to 11th graders. Yep.
I don't want to drag this on any longer than we have to, I know.
That's okay.
Hurry, but we used to have civic classes attend board meetings,
We did.
and we don't see it anymore. Is there a
Right.
reason?
We took the requirement out. We could put the
Okay.
requirement
Well,
back
I
in.
was just, I thought it was nice to see the kids here, and it was,
Yeah,
fill some seats.
you're
anyway.
referring to when students used to have to come here or to a city
Or
council.
the city council, one or the other, they had to attend the public forum.
Yeah, I think, I like the idea. I think I would pair that with their teacher being here with them.
Yeah.
But it's worth having the
I
conversation.
think the teacher was with them.
Yes.
When they did attend.
Yep.
I mean, even if you made it,
Just something,
not mandatory,
yeah, it
maybe
was.
even optional or something.
Just something that we need to get back to. Moving ahead, I don't, Maria, if you have anything to add, we're using nurses on 608 because of the number of students that we have that require personal nursing services, which is a good thing, but we needed to amend the rate. The rate increased for these nurses from the beginning of the year. It went up to about 60, I think the resolution says $60 to $70, and it was less money than that, and because of the nursing shortage, they were able to retain nurses with a rate increase. Is that correct? So you approved something August 24th at a rate that's lower than they're getting paid now. That's why that's back on there. 606, 609, we spent an hour on that. That's raised computers. 2 change orders this month, ladies and gentlemen. Both of them are owner requested, meaning that we request them. 610 is to put a concrete handicap ramp at the CEC building. We don't have that access right now. Is that correct, Earl?
That's correct. Not at the front entrance of the building, which is the main entrance.
So for the amount of concrete we're getting, $15,700 is not a bad price to put a very tactful handicap ramp there. 611 is also a change order. It is to retube some of the gas gill boilers. We asked for this as well. Can you? I know you spoke to Mr. Petrozzi, but could you explain that, Earl?
Right, so one of the 2 boilers at Gaskill is in needing of the replacement of 20 some of its tubes. There's approximately 120 tubes in the boiler. 20 some of them have leaks in them. And we are replacing them with OEM tubes and getting that boiler back up and operational so we have 100% redundancy of heat at that building.
We thought it was a good time to do it while the contractors were in the building. And these are owner requests. Nobody missed this. These are the things we've asked for. 12 through 16 are the usual payments to our 5 great companies. Scrifari, Danforth, Fry, and Stark continue to do a really good job for us. We want to pay them for the month. Your AI policy is on there. I'm going to suggest, I don't believe we've had any comments, Judith? I'm going to suggest that we move the policy promulgated throughout the district and get going on our first AI policy, promulgate. Rob was the word.
I think, for all of us to understand it, where do we really stand now? Changing tubes and et cetera, let's get it done, I know, but with the electric company, are they cooperating or not? Do we have easements? Or we don't need easements?
I'll talk about that at the end.
All right.
I'll talk about it at the end. This is just to get these redundant boilers up and running. Those are other resolutions. I thought a lot of good points raised. Appreciate you getting me in advance. Any questions on the meeting? I know it's getting late, but I really want to share some stuff with you, if I may. I mentioned this already. 7 robotics teams going to the States. Let's hope 7 qualify for the Nationals, March 5th. Now, 3 years ago, over 3 years ago, we had a problem with North Tonawanda on a soccer field. For 3 years, we have continued to meet with North Tonawanda and have added Niagara Wheatfield students. This past Monday, they spent the whole day together and they toured the Museum of Tolerance. It was wonderful. Niagara Falls High School does it again. They came in first place in the Erie County Environmental Summit competition. Niagara Falls High School came in first place. Wheatfield came in second. A number of Buffalo schools and public and private schools came behind us. I'm really glad for our environmental science students from Niagara Falls High School. Congratulations, teacher Miss Yachts. We can compete with anyone. I wanted to thank Earl and a gentleman named Jonathan Cook from the Department of Transportation. We don't have a salt shortage because Earl Smeal worked extremely hard to make sure that we have enough salt in our district. So thank you very much. Ray has been continuously working on this Power School breach. It is now out of our hands. For those listening, if your data was breached as a student, former student, or staff member, you will be contacted directly by Power School or Experian. We do not know how wide that field is. As I said to you before, we do know that it doesn't involve Social Security numbers. Congratulations to Assistant Administrator Dorothy Brundage. Dorothy Brundage will be receiving a Black Achievers Award at the dinner on March 15th. She is extremely well-deserving. I've asked Mrs. Dunn to present her, and I want to thank Clark Patterson Lee and Buffalo Construction Group for sponsoring Miss Brundage. Great choice. Okay, Mr. Velardo, both of our bowling teams. Both of our bowling teams, boys, ladies, and men, won the league. Our men 14-0, our ladies 12-2. So they're good bowlers. They know how to keep their hands warm, and they're all scholar athletes.
That's dry, not warm.
Oh, dry.
Okay, you got to get it.
Sorry.
And you didn't mention that our vice principal at high school, his daughter was the
Ellie Ventry.
high average bowler for their class.
Ed's daughter is the high female bowler, and she's going to win the states this year. So, congrats. I also want to mention with swimmers. We've got swimmers who are going to high competition. We'll feature them in a couple of weeks. And I just want to mention this. All of our wrestlers are competing for a chance to go to the state title. All of them, which I'm really happy that they're all going to get to appear, not just some, because our kids did nothing wrong, so all our wrestlers are. Just a couple more things. Thank you for your patience. We continue to work on the easement for the air conditioning. LaSalle Prep is in a really good place because the pole that they're installing is on our property. Earl, Becky, and I, and Richard continue to work on the Gaskill easement. National Grid has sent to the city of Niagara Falls very specific drawings. They are reviewing them now. We are hoping that they'll go before the city council on Wednesday, February 26th, so that the council and the mayor can sign the easement. The easement is needed because we're putting a guy wire on a city park land. We've done everything that we can to get that moving, and I'm hopeful that by the 26th of February, we'll be able to say the Gaskill pole is ready. Anything else, Earl? We push this every single day, and it's not because we don't love Gaskill. It's because where the transformer poles are going, we don't have the room like we have in our own property at LaSalle. So we should know better early next week, and if so, Earl and I will attend the city council meeting and explain it so that nothing happens to slow down that easement. Just very quickly, I just want to talk about something that a few board members have called me on and that many community members have asked me about. There's a lot of conversation going on around what will happen if the federal education department is eliminated. First of all, I don't know if that'll happen or not. Secondly, my understanding of government, I'm not an insider, says that this would have to be something done by Congress. It was created by Congress, it has to be removed by Congress. Thirdly, I don't think this is going to be something that'll happen overnight. Fourthly, it may happen, so we're making sure that we prepare for it. What could be the impacts? And I've only looked at this from the position of a public school administrator. We have $6 million in title money, $2 million in special ed money, $2.3 million in Head Start money, and $1 million in grant money that would come under that jurisdiction. Obviously, I talked about that in the budget presentation. From what I read, the plan is that the states would administer that. Now, whether the states will get that full allotment from the federal government, I don't know. There's no details on this. I'm just watching that $11 million. I think the grant money will go away, and I think certain parts of those entitlement dollars will go away. We're not panicking. We're watching it. We're making strategic moves. That's the first concern that we have. On the positive side, because I think there's positive sides to this too, and on the positive side, the reason we have to give these one-shot ELA and math tests every May and April is because in order to get that money, we have to give these tests. I think they're very, very, very poor indicators of student growth, which is the best indicator of how well our programs are doing. So hopefully, as the state changes the regulations and the elimination of the federal government, we may get some relief and get to a model where you don't take a test on 2 days in the middle of May and base all kinds of judgments on it, and that will go away. That could be a positive thing. The other positive thing that I would hope is that if that goes away, they'll eliminate, in my opinion, the most useless test and the most wasted school day ever when we have to give the NAEP, the National Assessment. As a principal, I can tell you I dislike that day beyond belief because I had to get 150 12th graders in a gym, tell them you have to take the NAEP. Why do I have to take it? Because I'm telling you have to, which I don't like to say to kids, because the government's telling me we have to give this so we can get money. Okay, does it count for, God bless you, does it count for a grade? No. Why do I have to take it? I'd ask if you would take it for me. Does it go on my report card? No. Could you do your best on it? It's filled with information from across the country that doesn't necessarily have relevance to our New York State standards. And then the results are used to compare us to people with. And I love our kids to death, and you know how much I do. But you tell a 12th grader, you got to do this test, and they're like, why? Because it's the NAEP. And then they use that NAEP to compare things. It's a ridiculous process. So I'm hoping that that's a positive thing that would go away. Try to look at the pros and the cons. The other confusion that we're having right now and I got a memo on this today, is there are federal rules that are in conflict with the state rules, particularly around transgender students. The federal government's saying one thing and the state government's saying another thing. It's putting us in the middle of this. We got to get this cleaned up and cleared up right away and do the best thing we can for kids. So I try to be patient, calm, and read and anticipate where the puck is going and not overreact. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. But I think that, and I have no idea about student loans and all those other things that I don't have a lot of, I'm not deeply involved in. So I know there's a lot of conversation on it. I have nothing definitive. Those are the benchmarks that I'm looking at. Moving ahead, two last things. I will say this. This was an extremely difficult week. And I want to send our support, blessings, and love to Niagara Falls High School. We had a tragedy befall us on Monday evening. A beautiful parent, a beautiful 44-year-old parent. Miss Crockett passed away on senior night when she was about to celebrate her child's senior basketball game. So our prayers for her, for Nishan, our great senior basketball player, that life shouldn't happen that way. And I just want everyone to know that among all this other stuff, the most important person today is Nishan and his family. And that's the sad part. The happy part is the support that the district is railing hourly for him is extremely heartwarming. And he will always be ours as well as his family's. So I pray that, and we will ask Judy to have Mr. Petrozzi adjourn in her memory next couple weeks. But among everything else that we do, the most important person today, to me, to all of us, to the district, is Miss Crockett, who we lost, and for Nishan, and his 24-year-old sister, who is also a Niagara Falls High School Wolverine alumni, who will now be Nishan's caregiver. The celebration of life is on Monday at Christ Redemption Bishop Dobbs' Church, and I just want to express on behalf of our family of 7,000 students and 1,500 staff and all of us the deepest sympathy for one of our great Niagara Falls High School students, alumni, and we're with you, and we ask for God's blessing on your family. Otherwise, we have a long weekend. Coming at a good time. We could use a day off Monday. Tuesday's conference day at the high school. And to Mrs. Dunn, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. It's coming. To Mrs. Dunn, it's happy Valentine's Day, Mrs. Dunn. And to everyone at the table and all the beautiful women, happy Valentine's Day to you. Mr. Petrozzi, that's all we have. I appreciate everybody's attention for a really lengthy time. Of course.
I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for explaining how this cut to the federal education department affects us, because I've had conversations with some people in the community who seems to think it won't affect our school district.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for explaining that. So now I hope they know that it does affect our district.
Sure. Nothing is set in stone, though, right? Nothing is set in stone. There is some money in play here for us. There's some money possibly in play, Mrs. Dunn. I'm hoping that it goes right to the states. I'm not so sure about that. It's not set, but it will affect us financially. I think programmatically, we might get some wins out of it. But, when I think about $2.3 million of Head Start money, I don't know how that's going to play. And I don't want anyone in the Head Start world to be nervous. We hold the levers, nothing has happened, And believe me, we'll work like you know what to make sure that we protect our babies, our Head Start kids, and our staff, because we've invested a lot in them. Thanks, Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Petrozzi, we need an executive session. It's for 2 items. It will be brief, and the items are both from the same required permissible forms of motions for executive session. It is for the appointment, employment, promotion, assignment, or transfer of a person, persons, or corporation. That's the reason. There's no action to be taken afterwards. And I say thank you for your patience, and good meeting and good night.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We do need a motion for executive session. Nick, Jimmy on the second. And I'll go around the table. Nick?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Jimmy? Yes. Earl? Mike?
Yes.
Brad? Claire? Tony? All yays, and I'm a yay. Where'd she go?
She moves like the wind.
Oh, my God, she's fast.
She moves like the wind.
Good night, everybody.